My child, I heard your prayer. The one you prayed when you were not sure anyone was listening. The one you whispered in the dark, half hoping, half doubting, not knowing if the words were going anywhere, or just dissolving into the silence around you. The one you prayed when you were so tired that the words barely formed. When it was less a prayer and more just a feeling, a reaching, a desperate, quiet cry from somewhere so deep inside you that you could not even fully articulate what you were asking for. I heard it, all of it. Every word, every half-formed thought, every feeling that never made it into language. I heard the prayers you prayed with faith and the ones you prayed through doubt. I heard the prayers you repeated so many times that even you stopped believing they would be answered. I heard the prayers you almost did not pray because it felt pointless. But something in you reached out anyway. Every single one of them reached me. Not one was lost. Not one dissolved into nothing. Not one went unheard. My child, I want to talk to you today about prayer. About what it actually is, what it actually does, and what I actually do with it. Because I think there may be some things about prayer that you have misunderstood, and I want to correct them today. Not to make you feel foolish for having misunderstood. I understand why the misunderstandings developed, but because the truth about prayer is so much better than the distorted version, and I want you to have the real thing. The first thing I want to correct is this. Prayer is not a vending machine. I know that is not how you would describe it consciously. But somewhere underneath the conscious understanding, many people operate as though it works that way. You put in the right words in the right amount with the right level of faith, and the thing you asked for comes out. And when it does not come out, when you pray and nothing seems to happen, the conclusion is that something went wrong. The words were wrong. The faith was insufficient. You are not the kind of person whose prayers get answered. My child, none of that is true. Prayer is not a transaction. It is a conversation. It is the act of bringing yourself fully, honestly, with all your questions and doubts and hopes and fears, into my presence. And my presence is where things happen. Not always the specific things you ask for, not always on your timeline, not always in the way you expected, but things, real things, significant things. When you pray, you are not just sending a request into the universe and waiting to see if it gets processed. You are entering into a relationship. You are saying, I need you. I trust you enough to bring this to you. I believe that you hear me, even when I cannot feel you listening. And that act, that reaching toward me, changes things. It changes you. It changes the spiritual atmosphere around your life. And yes, it changes circumstances too, in ways and at times that I determine based on what I can see that you cannot. I want to talk about the prayers I heard that you thought went unanswered, because I know they are there. I know there are things you prayed for. Specific things, important things, things that matter deeply to you, that did not come to pass the way you asked. And I know that for some of those things, you eventually stopped praying, not because you gave up on prayer altogether, but because praying for that specific thing became too painful. Because holding hope open for something that kept not coming required more than you had left to give. I want to speak to those specific prayers today. The ones you stopped praying, the ones that still sit quietly in the back of your heart, no longer active, but not fully released either. I heard those prayers too, every one, and I want you to know, the fact that I did not answer them the way you asked does not mean I ignored them. It does not mean they did not matter, and in many cases, it does not mean the answer is no. It means the answer is not yet. Or it means the answer looks different than you imagine. Or it means I am working on something that addresses the deeper need underneath the specific request. the need you could not even fully articulate, but that I understood perfectly. Sometimes what you asked for was not what you actually needed. Not because your desire was wrong. Your desire came from a real place, a real longing, something genuine inside you that was reaching for something good. But sometimes the specific form of what you asked for would not have given you what you were actually looking for. And I love you too much to give you something that would ultimately not satisfy, when I can see what would truly satisfy, and am working toward that instead. I know that is hard to hear. I know I have something better for you can sound like a platitude when you are in the middle of wanting the specific thing you asked for. But my child, I need you to trust that I see more than you see. I see the full picture of your life, past, present, and future. I see what that specific answered prayer would have led to, and I see what I am working toward instead. And what I am working toward, the thing that addresses the real longing underneath the request, that is better, genuinely better. I want to talk about the prayer that brought you to this moment, the most recent one, the one that you prayed, maybe not long ago, maybe recently, maybe repeatedly over a stretch of time. That felt like it was reaching into silence. I heard it. I want you to know specifically, personally, directly, I heard that prayer. Whatever it was about, whatever need it came from, whatever longing it expressed, it reached me. It was not lost. It did not go unacknowledged. And I am responding right now in this moment. This message is part of my response. Not the whole response. There is more coming in ways that will become clear as time unfolds. But this moment, these words, this specific message finding you at this specific time, this is not a coincidence. This is me reaching back. This is me saying, I heard you. I am here. I am working. My child, I want to address the silence, because I know silence has been part of your experience of prayer. You prayed and heard nothing back. No clear answer, no dramatic sign, no undeniable sense of my presence or my response. Just silence. And silence, when you are hoping for a response, can feel like the worst kind of answer. It can feel like absence, like indifference, like shouting into an empty room. I want to tell you the truth about the silence. The silence was never empty. It was never absence. My silence is not the silence of someone who is not there or does not care. It is the silence of someone who is working, who is present, who is holding you even when you cannot feel the holding. It is the silence of a craftsman so focused on the work that explaining the work would take time away from doing it. It is the silence of love that does not always need to speak to be real. I was never absent in the silence. I was closest in the silence. The moments where my presence felt most distant were often the moments I was working most intensely on your behalf, in dimensions you cannot access, arranging things you cannot see. The silence was not rejection. It was never rejection. I want to give you something today, my child. Something practical that you can take with you when this moment ends. I want to give you a new way of praying, not a formula, not a technique, but a posture. A way of coming to me that is more honest, more connected, more real than the way you may have been approaching prayer. Come to me with what is actually true. Not with what you think you should be feeling or what you think constitutes an acceptable prayer. With what is actually true right now in this moment. If you are angry, bring the anger. If you are confused, bring the confusion. If you are barely believing, bring the barely. If you are grateful, bring the gratitude. If you are numb and do not feel anything at all, bring the numbness. Whatever is actually true for you in this moment, That is what I want. Not a performance, not a presentation, just honesty, just you as you actually are, reaching toward me as I actually am. That kind of prayer, honest, unpolished, real, is the most powerful kind there is, because it is the kind that actually brings you into my presence, rather than maintaining a careful distance from it. And my presence is where things change. My child, I want to close by speaking directly to the prayer that has been sitting in you the longest, the one you have been carrying for years, the one that has become so much a part of you that you have stopped thinking of it as a prayer and started thinking of it as just a longing, a permanent ache, a thing you want, but have stopped actively expecting. I have not forgotten that prayer. It has been in my hands the entire time, and it is not forgotten, and it is not abandoned, and the answer to it is not permanently no. I am still working on it. I am still holding it, and at exactly the right moment, the moment when everything I have been preparing is in place, when you are ready in ways that matter, when the answer will land in your life and actually do what it is meant to do, I will answer it. Keep praying, my child. Not because I need you to remind me, I have not forgotten, but because prayer keeps you connected to me. And staying connected to me is the most important thing you can do while you wait. Stay connected, stay honest, stay reaching. I heard your prayer. I am responding, and I am not finished yet. I love you, always, without end. My child, I am still speaking. I told you not to ignore this message, and you did not. You stayed, you listened, and something in you shifted, even if only slightly, even if you cannot fully name what changed. I felt it. That small opening, that small turning toward, I felt it. And I want to keep speaking into it because openings like this one are precious. And I do not want to waste a single moment of it. I want to talk to you about what comes next. Because I know that is the question sitting underneath everything right now. Okay, I am listening. I am here. I did not ignore this. Now what? What does this actually mean for my life tomorrow, and the day after, and the week after that? How does a moment like this translate into something real and lasting, rather than something that feels meaningful right now and fades by morning? That is the right question, my child, and I want to answer it honestly. What comes next is a choice, not a dramatic, life-altering, everything changes at once choice, though sometimes it can feel that way. More often, what comes next is a series of small choices, daily choices, moment-by-moment choices. The choice to come back to me tomorrow, even when the busyness of life is pulling you in 100 other directions. The choice to bring the things you have been carrying to me instead of just carrying them alone. The choice to listen for my voice in the ordinary moments of your day, not just in quiet moments with messages like this one, but in the middle of the noise, the middle of the mundane, the middle of the things that fill your hours and demand your attention. Those small choices, made consistently, are what transform a moment like this one into something that actually changes your life. Not overnight, not dramatically, but steadily, over time, in ways that become undeniable. I want to talk to you about the morning, because I know what mornings are like for you. I know that often, the things that feel clear and significant in the evening, the decisions made, the shifts that happen, the moments of connection, can feel distant by the time you wake up. The day rushes in with its demands and its noise and its urgency, and what felt solid the night before can seem fragile in the morning light. I want to be with you in the morning, my child, not just in the quiet moments, in the first moments of your day, before the phone, before the obligations, before the world gets loud. I want you to give me those first moments. Not a long time, even just a few minutes. Just enough to remember, to say quietly, in whatever words feel honest, I am still here. I did not forget. I am choosing to keep choosing this. That practice, the practice of returning to me at the start of each day. is one of the most powerful things you can do. Not because I need you to check in with me to know you are there, but because you need it. You need the daily reminder, the daily reorientation, the daily moment of saying this is what matters, this is who I belong to, this is the foundation underneath everything else. I want to speak to the people in your life now, because I know this moment, whatever is shifting in you, does not happen in isolation. It happens in the context of relationships, of community, of the people who are part of your daily life and who will be affected by any change in you, whether they realize it or not. Some of those people are going to notice something different about you. Not necessarily immediately, but over time as the small choices accumulate, as the turning away becomes turning toward, as the ignoring becomes listening. Something will be different about the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to things, the way you treat people, the way you handle difficulty. Some of them will ask about it, and that will be your opportunity to share, in whatever way feels right for you, what has been happening. Not to preach, not to perform, but simply to be honest. Something shifted, something changed. I found my way back to something I had been ignoring. That kind of honest testimony, imperfect, personal, specific, is one of the most powerful things a person can share with another person. And, my child, your story is going to matter to someone, maybe to many someones. The path that you have walked, including the parts where you were ignoring things you should not have been ignoring, and the moment where you finally stopped. That story has value. It will resonate with people who are where you were. It will give them permission to stop ignoring too. I want to talk about the hard days that are coming, because I want to be honest with you. Not every day is going to feel like this one. There will be days when the connection feels distant, when the clarity of this moment feels like a memory, when old habits pull at you and the temptation to go back to ignoring feels strong. Those days are not evidence that this moment was not real. They are just hard days, and they are part of every journey. On those days, I want you to remember this. Not the feeling of this moment, because feelings come and go, but the decision you made today to stop ignoring. That decision was real. It happened. It does not unhappen because a hard day comes. It stays in place, waiting for you to return to it, waiting for you to say, I made a decision. I am going to honor it. Even today, even when it is hard, even when I do not feel like it. That honoring, that returning to the decision even when you do not feel like it, is what faithfulness actually looks like. Not constant, uninterrupted clarity and connection, but returning, always returning. I want to close today with something I want you to actually do. Not just hear, not just feel. Do. After this message ends, before you pick up your phone and go back to whatever is waiting for you, I want you to take 30 seconds. Just 30 seconds. And I want you to say something honest. Out loud if you can. In your heart if you cannot. Something like, I hear you. I am done ignoring. I do not know exactly what this looks like yet, but I am willing to find out. Stay close to me. I need you. That is all. 30 seconds. Honest words. And then, watch. Pay attention to what happens in the days that follow. Pay attention to the small things, the moments of unexpected clarity, the right word from an unexpected source, the sense of not being alone that comes even in moments when you are physically by yourself. I will be there. I have always been there, but now you will be looking for me. And when you look for me, my child, you will find me. Stop ignoring, my child. You did it today. Keep doing it tomorrow. I love you. I have always loved you, and I am so glad you stayed, always, without end.